Today's date is April 26, 2025, and welcome to the recap of our April 12th Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club meet. Let's get right into it. Our feature guest for April was Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. Joe led us in a Blue SCSI build event. Blue SCSI is a solid state solution for replacing the spinning hard drives with SD cards in old Macintosh, Amiga, Next, Sun, and Apple II GS computers, as well as in professional audio gear and classic samplers from brands like Akai and Sonic, Korg, and Roland. It runs on a Raspberry Pi Pico and can be had in 4 different varieties. 3 of us in attendance had Blue SCSI setups running to give people demonstrations. I had my Macintosh LC3 running with an external Blue SCSI. Eric's Edge had his running in a custom dehoused Macintosh SE, and Brian of Retro PC Emporium had one running in his 486 tower. More on that later. Joe was running one of his Blue SCSIs, an internal, in his translucent blue Macintosh SE. Joe was extremely friendly, helpful, and charismatic. His products are top-notch as well. So if you're looking for solutions for your Apple II, Macintosh, Atari 8-bit, and classic PC compatibles, be sure to check out jcm-1.com. For the SemVec table this time around, I grabbed 5 of my own machines, all beige-oriented. On the far right is the machine that I've been working on at the moment. This is an AST Advantage 5150 running on a Cyrix 5x86 150 MHz processor with 80 megabytes RAM, an ESS audio drive, and a 2 gig CF card as the hard drive. To the left of that is a new pickup, a Coleco Atom that I picked up about 3 weeks prior to the event. I did a Meanwheel PSU replacement to delete on the requirement to use the Atom's printer for power, and then friend of the show Steve Rasmussen sent me a Pi Coleco flash card. It plays the entirety of the Coleco Atom and ColecoVision library. Thanks, Steve. To the left of that is an interesting yet quirky final offering from Tandy in this Tandy Sensation. It's running a 486 SX25 processor, has 4 megabytes of RAM, an AdLib compatible card, and a 107 megabyte hard drive. The goofy MPC LMS CD-ROM drive died after about a month of use, so I replaced it with a Creative IDE controller and also a Creative 32-speed CD-ROM drive. It's definitely a concrete reason why Tandy went out of business. I'd say it's a bit too little and a bit too late on this one. To the left of my Sensation was my Macintosh LC3 running the external Blue SCSI. It was playing lots of Out of This World, Lemmings, and SimCity 2000. I learned to type on one of these in middle school, and it's great to finally have mine up and running thanks to club member Tom Bonucci for recapping the motherboard. And on the far left of my tables is one of my very favorite machines, an Intel branded MS-DOS 6.2 Windows 3.1 PC I've deemed the 486 Deluxe Sniffer PC based on my 486 Deluxe podcast. It's running an Intel 486 DX2 66 processor, has 8 megabytes of RAM, a 4-speed CD-ROM, and a trifecta of sound card options. It has a genuine Sound Blaster 16, a Pico Gus bought from Joe's Computer Museum for Gravis ultrasound emulation, and a Roland MT32. All sound sources get mixed into the Altec Lansing speakers on the desk. Apart from the MT32 and speakers, the entirety of this setup consists of NOS parts. The PC, keyboard, mouse, Sound Blaster, and ViewSonic monitor were all items new in box from our friends at Silicon Alley Recyclers based out of Centerline, Michigan. Most of the time, it was comparing and contrasting soundtracks of various MS-DOS games like Sam & Max Hit the Road, Descent, and Maniac Mansion Day of the Tentacle. Our free pile was 5 tables big this time around and even started spilling onto the floor. There were classic monitors, printers, televisions, tons of ISA, AGP, and PCI cards, 3 HD printers, a document scanner, a MIDI keyboard controller, basically just too much to name. But a bunch of people found exactly what they were looking for. Personally, I grabbed 2 wireless keyboards and then this tiny 10-inch Quasar CRT television. It's great for Atari and NES gaming and even has a remote. This will be perfect for my new office. Eric Mason's Japanese Sony Vaio PCV MSX10 setup was incredibly cool and provided much of the background music for the show. This Pentium 4 equipped setup sports a mini disc player and a 40-watt power amp. It features RCA composite in and out, a TV and FM radio tuner, composite and S-video capture, and a DVD burner. When it was brand new, this was a $2,800 machine. Maybe not as epic for some, but definitely interesting was the Cybernet Elite 2 Pentium 3 Wedge PC. This thing was so cool. It's described as a zero-footprint PC. It actually has a built-in CD-ROM and stereo speakers. So basically, all you gotta do is run one cable for your mouse and one cable to the monitor, and it's a very light desk setup, and it's weird in a PC format. Eric also brought this sharp-looking Mac Cube G4. I wish I had a little bit more time to sit down with this one because it's really got a great aesthetic. Brian Johnson had brought a small bit of Michigan computing history with his Ann Arbor Ambassador terminal. It was running off of a server implementation through the tiny LCD-equipped Raspberry Pi sitting next to it. He was showing off text adventures and the like. Originally a $1,300 machine, but it's definitely a neat piece of Michigan-based vintage tech history. Eric's Edge was demoing his HyperCard game Adventure the Quack of Dawn running on a Macintosh PowerBook G3. He also had his Apple II GS, a D-House Macintosh SE, and a recent pickup of an IBM PS2 Model L40SX. Check out Eric Edge's live development streams over on YouTube. One of the most popular sale tables was from new member John. His sale table had so much on it that I missed out on a handful of items because they just sold before I got a chance to photograph them. John had a great Franklin Ace 1000 setup in the box. He had an Amiga 2000 and then this really nice looking Amiga 1000 with a 1084 monitor. He also had tons of Amiga software and video equipment, including a Genlock and a DC TV. It was some really nice stuff, and I think John made out really well. Jeff Jimison, who puts on RetroFest, a local computer and video game event based out of the Baldwin Public Library in Birmingham, Michigan, brought 3 neat machines. A Fiery X4 workstation that he had running a bunch of Windows 98 classics, a Pocket 386 modern implementation laptop running a bunch of DOS classics. Those things are so neat and can be had for right around $200. And then something that I've been seeking out for some time now, a Sony Hitbit MSX2. I got to play with it for about 10 minutes, but got called away. And when I came back, he informed me that the video output stopped working. I hope he gets it back up and running. The Auger brothers are regular attendees and were showing off their 8-bit devices offerings for the classic Apple II, Atari 8-bit, and Atari 2600 machines. They were showing off 2 custom homemade Apple II machines and this really sharp clear case TRS-80 Model 1. 8-bit devices offers awesome solutions like the A2 DVI for Apple II HDMI video support, the SP SD SmartPort SD card emulator that is the perfect solution to run Total Replay on your Apple II machines, and then 2 Atari flash cart offerings including the A8 Pico cart and the Atari 2600 Uno cart. Check out their offerings over at 8bitdevices.com. I stamped out about 10 minutes to interview Brian Kleinfeld, aka Retro PC Emporium, over on YouTube. He was displaying 3 of his really wild creations. Let's check that out. So what do we got here?
All right, so let me introduce you to 2 machines. I've named them Bipolar 1 and Bipolar 2.
Okay.
All right, so here we have Bipolar 2. This is this started off as a 486. This is probably a 1992 era computer and case, fairly unaltered. What I decided to do was to add a single board computer based upon a Pentium 4 in the case. Now it's not integrated with the 486. It simply cohabits the same case. So we have two power supplies, two motherboards. They're completely independent of each other.
So power supply wise, is this running like one? It looks like an ATX, and then do you have like a Pico power supply running this thing?
So yeah, so we have the old-fashioned AT power supply running the main board. Right?
Okay.
This is a mini ATX power supply here.
Okay, there it is. Yep.
Yeah. Now one of the issues I had to solve was heat removal.
Yeah.
All right. So
definitely.
So this power supply is normally a pusher that pushes out the back. So I opened it up, flipped the fan, and turned it into a puller.
Okay.
And then I 3D printed this grate here to make an air intake.
And then it pulls it out the other.
Yeah. So it pushes it out the back side, and it pulls it in the front side.
Okay.
And then this goes directly out. The CPU's right here, which has its own local fan. But this provides fresh air. And then behind this grill here is an 80 millimeter fan that's also pulling cold air in.
Cool.
Yeah,
So you said Pentium 2 on this side?
No, Pentium 4.
Pentium 4 on that side.
So it's a 2.8 gigahertz HT Pentium 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and this single board computer has everything on it except for sound.
Okay.
And so the sound is actually a $3 USB dongle. Stuck out the back.
Okay.
Because it does have USB ports.
Oh, yep, I see it. Okay.
And actually that dongle does a remarkable job.
Yeah.
In DOS emulation under Windows 98.
I've seen people use them before.
It does MIDI. I mean, it's impressively good. Yeah. So really the scope here is to cover. I mean, a 486 SX25 isn't going to be a good Doom player. It's going to be more older stuff.
Okay.
So the sound card that's included in there is an old Sound Blaster 16 value, which has the true Yamaha OPL chip.
Okay.
So it does good FM synth. So the older games, I'll say 386. Just think of your favorite FM synth DOS game. It does a good job.
Okay.
Also, this turbo button can bring down the performance of that 486. And per the benchmark, it brings it down to the equivalent of a 286 20 megahertz.
Oh, wow.
So some of the old speed-sensitive games, like Temple of Apache or whatever, this plays well. In fact, Zork is on here right now, Zork 3.
Yep.
And so there's no CD-ROM drive. I mean, I did that intentionally to cap how much
you're going to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect to do with it, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
And so honestly, when I transfer things, I use a parallel port, lap link, an inter-server type deal with other computers.
Or you could just put your CF cards directly in your Windows machines.
Yeah, some new machine, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And so this has the flexibility of Windows 98 and Windows XP.
Oh, cool.
Just switch the compact flash cards and you can do whatever.
That's neat. I like how you labeled them.
Yeah. Geek and Spiel. So this is full of Geek and Spiel.
Oh,
stuff.
cool.
Yeah.
Yep. And then what we got over here?
All right, so
how about we do this one? 'Cause that one's kind of equally as wild.
It really is, yeah. So this was the first project along these lines. So a few months back at Silicon Alley Recycling, I found this basically CD maker duplicator. It's not a PC.
Yeah.
It has no video output. I mean, it was sold with like a Philips X-ray room or CAT scan room or whatever. It came out of the hospital.
Okay.
So when I got into it, first I realized it was not a usable PC, and secondly, the motherboard mounting plane below the drives is actually on the mid plane of the case, not.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that afforded me to be able to mount two motherboards, kind of in a mirror image type shape. And so what we have on one side are the guts of a Dell Optiplex 7010 mini tower.
Okay.
So it's a 3.2 gigahertz i5.
Yep.
And it has a ATI Radeon 7570 GPU. And it's a small form factor GPU, so it does a good job for, I'll say, XP gaming.
Okay.
And on this side are the guts of a Gateway Essential 500.
Essential 500.
Yeah. So it was a short case. Advertised as a Celeron actually, but because it's socket 370, I could put a Pentium 3 in. So I upgraded it to a Pentium 3 500.
Oh, neat. And then you custom made this.
Yeah. So this case, I drilled most of the rivets out of it and disassembled it, and then I Dremeled the ATX apertures, because none of this stuff really existed. So
True.
Two ATX apertures, and then I plugged some of the holes with 3D printed panels, just to kind of trim it, you know.
Trim it out, and to keep the really sharp metal from getting somebody.
Exactly.
Well, getting you.
They make it handle safe, right?
Yep.
Yep. And then I located the ATX power buttons up here, so you can power reset
Oh,
on or off.
okay. So that's power reset on both of them?
Yeah, just ATX switches, yep.
Okay.
Left side, right side. Yep.
Okay, left side, right side. Okay.
Yep.
Neat.
Yeah. And what's interesting about this gateway board is that they're kind of hard to find, but it has an integrated Creative Labs sound chipset into it.
Okay.
You know, so it's based upon the ES 1373. It's kind of the old Ensoniq version, which doesn't have great FM synth, but it's got excellent MIDI.
Yes.
General MIDI support.
Yes, and they had a very unique MIDI sound.
Yes. Very cool sound. Yeah.
Matter of fact, I grew up with an ESS audio drive in my 486.
Yeah.
And it always sounded different than all my friends' stuff. So.
Yes. They're all like snowflakes.
Uh-huh.
And then it has an integrated ATI Rage 128. You know, so it's a good Windows 98 or even a DOS gamer
Neat.
type thing. Yeah. So the idea here is to really, cover a broad range of gaming opportunities.
It's yin and yang.
Yeah.
And then yin and yang. And then this is just a beast of a machine.
Yeah, so this is an old 486 I've had for a long time. But what's new about it, though, was I upgraded it to a Blue SCSI media format.
Oh, cool.
So for years, this has had an Adaptec 1520 in it, which it still does.
Okay.
But the failing Quantum 700 megabyte drive finally bit the dust. So I picked up a Blue SCSI, and right now it's got a 2 gigabyte image. You know, there's a 32 gigabyte SD card plugged in the front here, and then it's got a 2 gigabyte, FAT16 DOS 6.22 partition.
Oh, sweet.
And then it's got several, shall we say, CD images. For certain games.
I never even thought about using it that way.
Yeah. Floppy images, CD images, yeah.
Now, the SCSI interface is on the motherboard on this, or are you using a external card?
It's an ISA card.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's cool about Blue SCSI, I mean this card, you attach it to a 30-year-old SCSI card, and like the SCSI BIOS will see it as a SCSI device. So say for example you have 5 drive images.
It'll see 5 drives?
Yeah. Well, so here's how you start.
Kind of.
Well, here's how you do it. You take your SD card on your modern PC, you format it.
Okay.
You download whatever or create whatever images you want that are going to be your hard drive partition.
Yep.
And there's a naming convention for like what the SCSI ID is going to be, like 0.
So it's like HD 0102.
Correct. Exactly.
And then you have, what's the difference? I know the 0 is one thing. That's
the LUN.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you were to have like multiple adapters.
Okay.
You could do a much more complicated scheme. Yeah. But generally everyone uses LUN0. Yeah. So you can have, practically speaking, up to 7, a combination of hard drive, CD drive, floppy drive. There's a whole list. And so then you present it to your old, I'll say in this case, this is the 30-year-old cards. Mm-hmm. When the SCSI BIOS rolls through the SCSI IDs, it finds every one of those image files as a emulated drive of some sort.
Very cool.
So really the magic is in that PicoGus, or that Pico operating system emulating actual hardware.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for showing me around.
Oh, no, pleasure, yeah.
That wraps up April's coverage, but that does lead us into our next event on June 28th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. We don't have any special events or guests lined up, but we plan on getting back to sharing our latest projects and favorite machines. Our friends at 8-Bit Devices and Silicon Alley Recyclers will be there again, and the Mid-Michigan Retro Computer Club is attempting to set up a DOS-based LAN party. That'll be fun to participate in. Hope to see you there. The Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club is supported by the generous donations of members like Al Bradford, Brian Kleinfeld, Kiefer Morris, Lee Arft, Matt of Intergalactic Microsystems, the Commodore Chronicles Fast Load Collective, and the awesome folks at Retro Rewind who support the Commodore Chronicles family of podcasts and the Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club. So if you're in need for solutions and or repairs on your Commodore 64, 128, C16, Plus 4, Amiga, and Tandy Color Computer Systems, check out Frank and the team at Retro Rewind at retrorewind.ca. And if you sign up for an account and use the promo code CC10, you can save yourself 10% at checkout. Thanks for checking out the Southeast Michigan Vintage Computer Club. For more information on the club, including links to the Commodore Chronicles and SemVec Community Discord server, head over to semichiganvcc.blogspot.com. Thanks.